Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to MCSC Windows Server 2016 lab series. This is Hamza Rashid, your trainer for this entire lab series. Today's topic is virtual switches. We'll know that how we can create virtual switches and we'll discuss about those virtual switches in detail. So first of all, we are going to know that what kind of virtual switches are available over there. So there are three types of virtual switches. Number one is private virtual switch, number two is internal virtual switch, and number three is external virtual switch. Every virtual switch has its own specific purpose of use. Virtual switches allows our computer system, allows our virtual machines to communicate with each other. I mean, when you create a virtual machine, it requires a virtual switch, so that in order to communicate with other virtual machine, or it can be your host computer, I mean your physical computer. So there are different situations. Okay, so I'm going to create virtual switches and I'm going to explain you the uses of each virtual switch one by one. So first of all, I have to open Hyper-V Manager in order to create virtual switches. I have deleted my virtual switches that I was using earlier. So as you can see that there is only one virtual switch, that is default switch. So it comes with the Hyper-V Manager. When I click over here, I can see that there are three types of virtual switches. Number one is external, number two is internal, and number three is private virtual switch. So every virtual switch comes with some detail, you can read it, but I'm going to explain you the uses of those virtual switches, so that I mean when we use external, when we use internal, and when we use private virtual switch. So first of all, let us know that how we can create a virtual switch. So it's quite simple, it's quite clear, it's simple, so simple. So you can click over here the switch that you want to create, highlight it, and then you can click on create virtual switch. So in this section you can name your virtual switch. It can be anything, so name it whatever you like. So I'm going to give it an external name, so external, and you can add any detail, any additional detail to your switch, just like internet. So now I'm going to explain you that why we use external switch. So when your virtual machine wants to connect to the internet, then we use external virtual switch. So it's quite simple and it's clear. So you don't need to go take any headache for this. So it's so simple. When your virtual machine wants to connect to the internet, then we use external virtual switch. Okay, so here you have to click on external network. When you click on internal network, it won't work correctly. Okay, so you have to click on external network, and then you can choose any network adapter that you want. So I'm going to choose this. Then you can click on apply. So pending changes may disrupt network connectivity. Okay, no issues. So I'm going to create this switch. So I'll show you the effect of this virtual switch. Let us wait a little bit. So it's applying some changes. Okay, our virtual switch has been created, and I'm going to click OK. So when I open my control panel and the network and sharing center, so you can see that this Ethernet connection has no option checked. Instead of this Hyper-V extension virtual switch. So this is the effect of creating virtual mass switch. So there is no IPv4 enabled. Okay, so this will be the effect of creating an external virtual switch. This will be your actual virtual switch of your physical machine and as well as your virtual machine. Okay, so it will work for both your virtual machine and for your physical machine, I mean for your host machine. So now I'm going to create another switch that is going to be internal virtual switch. So just like the old method, I'm going to name it internal. So I'm not going to add any detail for this. So it's quite simple. It's the just like the old method, we can click on apply and then we can click on OK. So it will take some time. Okay, so just like this you can create a private switch. But now the question is that when we use internal switch, we use internal switch when our computer system, when our virtual machine wants to communicate with the host machine. I mean, when this virtual machine wants to communicate our physical computer system, and then we use internal virtual switch. Okay, now the question is that when we use private virtual switch, so the answer is quite simple. When this machine wants to communicate with this machine, then the requirement of private virtual switch comes in. Okay, so when this machine is using private switch and this machine is using private switch, then they will be able to communicate with each other. Okay, so those switches are quite simple. You shouldn't take any headache for this, and it's not the complex thing. Okay, it's quite simple. So I'm going to explain you once again about the three switches. External switch is used when our virtual machine wants to connect to the internet. Okay, and internal switch is used when our virtual machine wants to communicate with the host machine, I mean with your physical computer system. Okay, but internal switch also allows you to communicate to virtual machine. I mean, if this machine is using internal virtual switch and this machine is also using internal virtual switch, so those both machines can also communicate with each other, and as well as they are able to communicate with the host machine. Okay, and private switch is quite simple. When you want those both machines to communicate with each other, then you use private virtual switch. Okay, so that's the end of video. Please do subscribe to this channel and stay tuned, and in upcoming videos I will be installing Windows Server and Windows as well as. So thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.